Alrighty, good morning everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Good Morning NASDAQ. Today is live trading. We're starting at 6:17 Pacific time, my time, but really 9:17 Eastern for all you East Coasters out there. Unfortunately, our lead host, Mr. Dominic Master Mateo, couldn't get Wi-Fi in the great big wilderness that he's in. So it'll be just me and Mr. Hudson today. How are we? How are
Hello.
we doing this morning, Huddy?
We're good. We're both some Pacific Coast boys. It's early this morning.
It is. We are early. But anyways, as always, this is not us sharing the gappers today, although we will talk about the gappers. Today we're going over watch lists and then trade planning for about 20, 30 minutes into the open here. So save your questions if you got any. We will answer them probably more closer to a few minutes after the open as the dust settles. For now, let's talk about the plays. Do you want to kick us off, Huddy? Or do you want me to start?
Yeah, mine's pretty quick. Again, this month, if you guys have been in the webinars, is a do more with less month, and even in Good Morning Nasdaq, I've been talking about this all the time. So I've kind of put myself in a box just to check my discipline, make sure that I can stay in my lane, especially in a month where it probably like August, September are probably those months that you really don't want to click too many buttons. But if your setup is there, hit it. For me today, that's going to be ALBT. That's the ticker I'm sure Kyle has on his screen right now. Biggest gapper of the day. I'm going to short it at some point. I've kind of created a strategy, not kind of, I have created a strategy for these big percent gainers. That's pretty data based. It's not much price action. It's just if it fits criteria. I have two entry points throughout the day if this stock sets up and gives it to me. So most likely will be a partial size short for me near the market open. And then if it gets better, I'll add some shares later on in the day. And that will be my only trade of the day, which is, a blessing and a curse.
Nice. Yeah, this was on my radar as well. Biggest gap of the day, up 200+%. I haven't looked really quickly at the dilution. Let me just show everyone here. Let's take a peek. Yesterday, ALPM was a great fader. That was a good one, and CXI was the great runner. We talked about that briefly yesterday morning. What am I looking at? ALBT. Let's see how this is looking. Okay, it's looking all right. 5 months of cash left, not bad. Warrants not registered. Effect pending for this note. Not registered, not registered, not registered. Also not registered. And not registered. Oh, another one, not registered.
I'm going to be doing this for a while.
And oh, we got another one, guys, not registered. Oh, we got two. Oh, wait. Registered, but they're out of them. They reused them all. Oh, we got another one not registered. All right, anyways. So clearly there's a trend here. A lot of dilution. However, it's not usable. They're not registered. So it doesn't mean it can't crap itself, as clearly the last run was pretty hot. Although the last run didn't gap. It started off its lows and went as high as 140. And now we are gapping into that resistance, so to speak. It's not necessarily at the highs, but there's definitely volume that traded all throughout this daily candle. So we will see how strong it is today. Didn't even look at the news. What is the news?
I can understand it.
Avalon's Laboratory Services MSO to launch sales of proprietary FDA external male catheter device. Lovely. Yeah, when it gets to the medical jargon stuff, I just don't really look into it too much because 99.9999% of the time, it's not great, and these companies unfortunately fail. I hate to say that. I hate to be Mr. Debbie Downer. It's just the truth, unfortunately. So we take the guilty until proven innocent approach, opposite of the legal system. But yeah, so we'll see how this gapper does today. Again, not going to just short it blindly, but if we do see some price action that I like, we might get short here. Other stocks on watch, and actually I do agree, this might be, or agree with Huddy, this might be my only trade of the day. A lot of things I'm watching. So we have like GNLN, their warrants, I believe per their PR, said they should be registered and live by today. However, I can't prove or deny that. Maybe if we go back to Dilution Tracker and type it in, maybe Dilution Tracker will give us a green light or a red light.
So this one's innocent until proven guilty.
Almost. I mean, I'm not going to blindly short until I know the warrants, or even if the warrants are available, it doesn't mean just a blind short, right? That's the mistake that I think a lot of short sellers make is they'll just,
They're
oh,
there.
here we go, not registered. So not yet. unless those knockers are super late. But the PR said around this time, and that's the problem. They don't give you exact time and date. They said around August 14th or whatever it was, or estimated August 14th. So if they're alive and this thing starts selling off, okay, that's something you can join trending it short. But until then, there's probably a lot of short sellers who shorted this offering, waiting for it to go down, and are still in it. And we know T+1 is now a thing. There's a world where these shorts could get squeezed back simply because the dilution they think is here, and it's just not actually effective yet. So keep an eye on this one. There's also SERV. They announced earnings yesterday. We are now up, 30% or so, off of pretty much a perfect double bottom here at 10 and then 10, 12. So this 10 level is really solid now. I did put on my watch list. I would look for a breakdown of this level. Now, obviously, it's not today. I do not expect this to die 30% and then break down. But if this can just chop around here and start fading lower back down to 10, I do think a breakdown into the 9s, 8s, 7s would be really sick to see. As for today, there's no play, right? This is clearly, at least price action wise, an earnings winner. Do I think it actually is great earnings? No, they like, I'm not a big, huge fundamental guy, but I did decide to look at the 10Q just to see what we were dealing with. They lost $9 million. They only had $9 million in revenue. No. Lost by $9 million, had like $460K in revenue, and they're a $450 million company up here, trading like 100 to 1 sales. So it just doesn't really make sense. Obviously, they're up because because NVIDIA and Uber are invested in, have potential partnerships with them, specifically Uber. So there's a lot of potential, so I get why it's up. However, the math right now is not mathing. So we'll see the upcoming future for this thing. But as of right now, the numbers and the fundamentals just don't add up. But the future is what people are probably betting on, who actually believe in this thing long term. Me, I don't really care. I'm just trading price action. For me right now, I see a double bottom at 10, and so I'd love to have a breakdown there in the next week or two. So again, nothing for today though. Just keep that on watch. FFIE. Still no reverse split announcement. At this pace, they're going to be sub 10 by the time it comes. They have until the end of August, so I took a mental note of that one. What else? That's pretty much it. I mean, we have CXAI. CXI, see if that runs higher today. So far, gapping down, no big play there. ELWS was another one I was hoping to see if run higher. It's gapping pretty even right now, so we'll see if that has a day 2 in it. So again, a lot of these plays I'm watching, but nothing really is full-on tradable, not like ALBT where I could take a trade, any minute now if I like it, versus all these others are just kind of watching. So yeah, that is the idea. That is the plan today. How much time we got left to the open? We have about 4 minutes. If there is any last-minute questions, we can answer them before the open, but once the open starts, we're going to get going and focused up here. Let's see. William says, Kyle's definitely funny, so talking about gap and craps definitely doesn't mean it can't crap itself. I mean, yeah, we're going to keep it real here, guys. We're dealing in a small cap space, and although some run, most don't, to be more polite with my words. Mr. Market asks, good morning, how about SGD? What about it? Are we up decently? SGD?
No. Well, I guess it's higher now.
Yeah, it actually is higher. We are up 80%. Yeah, this isn't bad. Good history of spikes and runs. Let's take a quick look here. Oh, not there. SGD. Fairly low on the overall dilution. 16 months of cash left, so maybe that's not the best, for if you're looking to short, but maybe a long might be decent. Who knows? So we'll see. I'll put up a chart up of it. Let me put something up here. We'll see. SGD. I'll put another chart up just in case we decide we like it. How much are borrows, though, if I actually do want to take a stab at this thing? What are we talking about here? Because they're too expensive, we're not going to want them. Pretty cheap. We're talking 15% of a penny at center point. That's not bad. That's pretty cheap. We'll take some just in case. Again, just because I take some doesn't mean I will trade it, but I do that a lot. I'll spend pretty cheap borrows and will be willing to throw away the cost. No, we don't want that one. We want, there we go. We want this one. Yeah, $50. We'll pay that. No big deal. Also, I guess I didn't mention this too either because it's fading too much. I don't like it now. But DGLY was another potential gapper. However, I really wanted this to kind of hold up above this level or higher. Like getting the 150s, the fact that we're already fading, I just don't feel all that convicted about it. It feels like it's giving away the downside that I would have liked to have captured. In the 60% range, and it's good. It's not great, and I'm trying to stick to the great, especially in August, like Huddy mentioned earlier. So yeah, we'll stick to what's it called, ALBT and SGD to start the day here. We got about a minute until the open. Alrighty, let's get some orders ready just in case. Right? Why is this not working for me? Interesting. Okay. Some routes are messing up for me a little bit. Get some shares ready if I want them. This is what I do, guys. I don't have hotkeys or anything. I literally just pre-enter or pre-type in, so to speak, orders that I potentially might see out the open. And then once it's time to press the button, I usually just press it, give or take. Obviously, I'll have to change prices if something drastically happens. But anyways, 30 seconds till the open here. Any last thoughts, Huddy, before the gates open?
I mean, the only interesting thing I saw about SGD, the reason I said I didn't understand ALBT is because it says it's a real estate company on like FinViz and Dilution Tracker. SGD also says it's a real estate company, so it's kind of the tie I'm making between the two. Maybe they're connected, maybe they're completely not, but same price range, same sector. But again, ALBT had medical news, so it's just strange to me.
Weird. Okay.
In any case, I'm not going to trade SGD regardless, so
Gotcha.
it's not for me. But yeah, I did just enter very small in ALBT. Just took a little partial here at market open, as per my system kind of demands. A little bit nervous that this thing is going to be a halt sequence, just because it's gapping up so much from the lows. I think it's easily going to trigger limit up and limit downs if it starts to get going. So kind of the risk I'm putting myself in, but it's really just a partial size, which is, if I get blown out, I get blown out.
So be it. Except defeat. Excuse me. Okay. Well, we're open. Let's see how this does. Again, for me, I'm a little more patient. Or not just say patient. I'm just willing to give up downside for higher risk reward. So if this does die and I get short, say it's 70 versus 80, I'm okay with that. I just want more proof that for me, my personality, right? Like Huddy was saying, Huddy's okay with getting squeezed if it happens. Me, I am not so much, right? I really hate just shorting and then immediately being down. I'd like to, have my odds a little bit more in my favor. If that means, getting a lower entry, then so be it. I'm willing to trade that risk reward for a cheaper entry. So we're going to let the dust settle for the first 5-10 minutes here and then see what we're working with. Or if we see any significant lower low quickly, but right now it's just kind of a downtrend so far. An SGD, still so far nothing. Same idea. Chopping around. Gonna let the dust settle. Also, this one's fairly new. The PR was much closer to in terms of time frame. Quite the sell-off here. Also, the thing I don't love about SGD is that the range isn't as great. Like if it was super dilutive, like ALBT, like APLM yesterday, and had the potential to really like round trip back to lows, totally enough range. There's 20 cents, you have 50% downside, but only being up, 67% now after this drop, with no dilution, I'll probably still give it a shot, but I question what's the range of downside as a short seller for me looking at something like this. Like how low are we really going to go, right? 30, 33, 28. Any one of these drastically changes the upside of the trade here, especially as I wait and this thing goes lower and lower and lower. So, if like this thing drops to 30, I'm probably not going to trade it unless it bounces because all the downside just happened in 3 minutes. Like I'm just not going to chase that. So we'll see. But back to ALBT, more weakness. Tried to actually bounce there into the 80s. And same thing goes for here, right? I feel like anyone in the 4-leaf have done enough webinars with me to see me. Like sometimes I don't necessarily miss them because I'll try to get into a bounce sometimes, but like I'm okay, not chasing this. Sometimes I do chase it though, and I'm regret chasing. So
Just regret.
yeah, just pure regret. DGLY.
Starting a little spike.
Yeah, nice little run. Starting hot. Well, that's cool.
I thought this stock they're like a body cam. From what I remember in the past, DGLY is always like a body cam,
yeah, this had
like
a
gun
huge
control.
run back earlier in my career. Not 2020. This one. Was it 2014? I guess they had both runs. This wasn't back in my career because I was learning about it, but I remember this happening, and then going back and looking at it, and just an insane run from.
It was in trading tickers.
Yeah, there we go. So for those trading tickers fans, Tim Bertani fans, it's in here. But yeah, sick run. I guess they did a few reverse splits, but post reverse split 70 to almost 700. Talk about a little 10xer. So, but yeah, nice spike. SGD still on the low end, unfortunate. ALBT supporting 70 for now. Ideally, this holds 70, tries to pop, have some strength, fail, and then I'd totally be fine shorting back down here on like a lower low. But let's see how strong this bounce is first. Part of me thinks if it doesn't even bounce at all right now, then I'll want to short it. But then it comes at the cost of like, am I willing to chase it? It's kind of weird how my brain works. Like if it bounces strongly and then I short the same price after the bounce, it's not a chase. But if I short right now, I'm worried about chasing. Oh, the screen's going out. What are we doing? All right, we're back. SGD lower. See, this is one where, like I said, I paid the borrow fee, but I might just never use it because this is getting crushed very quickly. And this is so weird. Like zero dilution. Not sure why it would. I mean, obviously there's all these people who can sell clearly, but pretty impressive pullback to start the day.
I think it's just a massive bag holder chart. I mean, every time that it spikes, I mean, look at this thing. Like if you ever get caught in any of these gap ups, I mean, yeah, they spike, but if you overstay your welcome, it's like new lows in a month.
Right.
And then another spike and then new lows in a month. So I think anyone that's been caught in this is willing to sell on this, 100% gap upper, so to speak.
Right. Okay, we did just try to fill some, or actually we are filling some. ALBT right at 70. Like I said, just so far that bounce, that one green candle, and that was it. Like that's all you got. I have to assume this is weak. Could come back on me, and if it does, so be it. We'll get stopped. But I've just seen too many of these where usually that first bounce should have been it, and it's not. Sometimes the second time, so this could go still a little higher. But again, that's why we do wide risk and then let the dust settle even after that. But we're gonna trust that for now. We'll see here. Lumen, also a former runner, spiking a bit. Getting a multi-day bounce going here now. It's good to see. Although no position, not like I really care which way it goes either way. SGD. So SGD, like I said, because this one is sold off, this is something where I can't do what I did with ALBT here, right? So ALBT, set its low at 70 and then broke down. This first low for SGD is what, 32? There's just no way I'm going to short at 32 and think I have any significant amount of downside when I could have shorted at 42, right? So like this weakness, even though this bounce is also just as crappy as ALBT, this is too much too soon for me to feel like I have any upside, right? Yeah, sure, it could go red, but very few actually do that, especially on ones that have no dilution. Obviously, like Huddy said, I do agree. The back of the chart's pretty ugly, but I just, from a risk reward standpoint, this is too much for me,
There's just
unfortunately.
not much meat on the bone.
Yep, exactly. So ALBT, little bigger bounce now. Unfortunate, but it happens. They sucked me in just to bounce it. Did they break the low there at what, 69? I guess I should have waited for the low to be a little more, but I guess no, they broke it either way. So by less than half a penny. But all right.
Jeez, what it is.
Fifi sub 18. Just getting just absolutely clobbered.
Yeah, Kyle's been talking about Fifi for like a month and a half. One of my biggest regrets was not, kind of listening a little bit closer to the trade thesis.
I mean, it's quite sad for people who actually are long in this company, because they are the most dilutive company in the market, in my opinion. And arguably it's not even up to opinion, it's just fact. Like they
And CEI is gone now, so for sure.
and CEI just got delisted, which was the biggest history of dilution for that company. But literally, this company had 40 million shares in their shares outstanding. Throughout this run, they 10x it to 440 million, and then they just got approved 2 or 3 weeks ago to take it to 4 billion. Like, they're 10xing their shares again. They're 100xing their shares outstanding potentially from when this run started. Like, it's almost criminal. Like, it almost shouldn't even be allowed from an investor protection standpoint. Like, it is terrible. And I hate to say it, because it's like, not like I want this to happen, but it's like, if it's going to happen, I'm going to be there to try to profit off it. So ergo, and again, once they authorize those shares to be increased, it's gone nothing. I mean, it's always gone down, but there's always been like pops, and maybe we do have more pops. I'm not saying there can't be, but it's getting uglier, because at this point they can start tapping into those shares. And so it's again, from an investor standpoint, it's ugly. It's not great. So it just keeps dying. ALBT, nice. We had another weak bounce. Just can't get over this 74, 75 level. Almost like a double top, even though this is just a little pop. But top that again, and now we're lower. So far so good.
For long bias traders, it's kind of a random week. I mean, day one of this week, we had like Monday, right? Just taking the temperature on the market. We had GNLN, which was a recent reverse split. I think it's a marijuana company, Green Lane.
Mm-hmm.
And that got going, and then the momentum was just shot with the offering. And simultaneously, you had the oil and gas stocks, INDO, kind of spiking and breaking out, which didn't transpire into anything. And then yesterday we had CXAI, which was an AI company with a Google PR, which lasted until it didn't. And now we have DGLY, which is like a body cam company. So it's like random, like there's no real theme presented in the market. And I think that's like a harder situation to trade for longs, because you don't know where the money's going to flow next. It's just too random.
Yeah, it's a great point. It's quite a diverse sector of day one runners, or diversity of sectors all over the place. AI, digital body cams, marijuana, and now like semi, and then even today on ALBT, even though it's gap and grab, like
Medical real estate companies.
yeah, medical real estate, yeah, weird. But yeah, I mean, and it's actually quite surprising, because, well, not, I should say quite surprising. It's somewhat surprising, because like if you look at the overall markets, they're actually bouncing well. Really solid bounce after that low, after the Japan carry trade disaster kind of happened. But it also doesn't surprise me, because typically like August and September is just not great, right? Again, I've been pounding the table on the seasonality of things, but it's just the truth, right? It's not always the truth every year, but like, if there's one period of time where historically have the worst months, like it's August and September, just for performance wise. I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on this, I remember seeing somewhere, I should probably have checked my stuff before I say this, but paraphrase with me. It was either August or September had you actually sold, like let's say you own the S&P 500 for like last 40 years, and you just sold everything you owned in like the beginning of September or August, and then you rebought at the end, like you actually did better. Like you avoided most pullbacks during those periods of time. It's again, don't quote me on it. It's something around that kind of stat that I remember reading. But it just goes to show the seasonality of things, that like August and September just doesn't have, at least in individual stocks. Again, the market is bouncing nicely, but individually, there's just no follow through, at least on the long side, which then explains why. I mean, gosh, APLM, crushed yesterday, absolutely crushed. And so yeah, that's what I'm saying. If there's no momentum on the long side, what's the opposite of that? Things get crushed. And so ALPM was a great example of that. I think we also saw, what was another really good one? TRNR, I think, was decent. Small range, but also crapped itself. So we'll see. And again, so far today, SGD, crushed so far. It's almost too crushed to the point I'm going to miss it because it's sold off too much. And then we have ALBT, which is also, already well off its highs now. It's already almost 40% off its highs from pre-market at $1. So unfortunate times for longs. But anyways, I think the dust is settled enough. Let's look at the questions here, see if we're missing anything. Someone says SGD has lots of warrants at 60 and 76, it looks like. Maybe they do, but clearly have not looked to use that. Didn't even get close, so that's unfortunate. Does the pre-market float rotation making you sketched about ALBT? Honestly, and I'd love to know your thoughts here, Huddy. Float rotation just isn't what it once was. And maybe it's just my perception of it. Maybe it's just me becoming more experienced over time. But I remember the first 2 or 3 years of my trading career, like really wanting to pay attention to float rotation. Like it's like if there's if their float's getting rotated, like I do not want to be short, and then maybe I should be considered going long. Like it was a stay away kind of thing. Now it's like it could happen on any ticker any given day, and I almost don't care at all. I almost would prefer it because it lets me know it's super liquid. So it's just weird. And I think maybe COVID had something to do with that, where like it just brought so much volume on so much names and so much attention to just online day trading in general that now there's just a bunch of liquidity. So it really doesn't matter per se. Like the float is getting rotated, but it just adds, it's an equal increase for both buyers and sellers. Like back then when the float was rotating, it was like a clear sign of like there's just so many more buyers than sellers, hence then stocks would go up. But I have not had nearly enough emphasis or alertness whether a float's getting rotated or not for me. What do you think, Cuddy?
I think as a trader, you have to be really careful about what you read on Twitter. I spent my whole life believing random people like on Twitter about what they say and just taking it for face value and then letting that affect my trades when I really don't have the data myself to back up what they're saying. And the reason I say this is because like volume and liquidity, like it changes, seasonality year by year. Stocks will trade more volume, stocks will trade less volume, right? 2020, 2021, the liquidity was crazy. And then 2022, 2023, it dropped off. So what does that mean for float rotation given the different years, right? Some years you're going to have just more float rotation because there's more volume in the market, and some years you're going to have less. So how do you really depict like on a year by year basis what float rotation would really mean, like either bullish or bearish type of means? Is it too much volume? Is it too little volume? And I guess all I'm saying is like, if you're going to believe in float rotation, you better have the data to back up whatever you're putting your belief in, not just some blurb you read on Twitter that said, oh, if it does this, then it's bullish or bearish. Like you're going to want to see that for yourself and create your own conclusions and not just trust random people. And that's like, I don't have the data on float rotation. I'm kind of with Kyle. Like at one point, I heard people talking about it. And then again, I let it affect my trades and my trades would still work out. And sometimes I take losses. But at the end of the day, if it's not my data, it's random results because I'm trading off of perceived danger that might not even exist because I just took, someone's subjective idea in the moment as matter of fact. And I don't think that's how the market really works. So if you want to believe in it, be my guest and track it. Go on Spikey. Get every share outstanding and multiply it by, whatever, or divide it by whatever the share volume is on that day and see if there's a certain number that like stocks don't break down or they do break down and backtrack it. And then you can make an informed decision about float rotation.
Right. serve also kind of pulling back since the hot open, but what, 14 to 13? Not bad. Lower for SUD. ALBT bouncing a little bit, not much.
I removed my Twitter from my phone
Nice.
sometime when I was in Europe in July. I actually deleted all my trading apps because it was the only way I could really disconnect and just enjoy my summer break. Um, and the only one I haven't downloaded back is Twitter because I'm so sick of reading everyone's opinions, everyone's trades, everyone like I've gotten as much. There is good information on Twitter. There are great follows, and I've been on there for 10 years, so I've pretty much read it all. Uh, as far as what I need to learn, and at this point, it just causes me to have like aneurysms when I see people talking and I don't agree with it, or they're bragging about trades or whatever. It just like makes me have a lot of reflection that I don't necessarily need. Like it's not a part of my trading. So I really am. I'm not a fan of Twitter these days. There's so much garbage out there.
Alrighty. I agree. More bounce back for ALBT. Let's see. Let's keep it going here. Are you guys watching CXA for a potential red day? Tell them, Huddy. Tell them what I know you and I are both thinking.
No.
Why?
No. We'll go through like the first and bare minimum. Like the best first red days are on multi-day runners. Okay, so this is really just a one-day run, kind of a one and done, already sold off decently from the highs. How much more room for downside do we really expect? It's hard to gauge. So it's kind of a situation where we don't really want to take it in the first place. And that's it. Really, it's just a one-day run and it's barely up even 100%. So it like doesn't really fit criteria.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. I say like 1 day of running does not constitute as enough. It's not even a 1 day red day candidate. Like it's not. I'm not even looking at it for first red day because first red day needs to have multiple days in a row and it needs to be up at least 80, 100, 150, 200%. We're not even up 50% at 270 here. So yeah, agree with how you
Pull up the chart of Lumen. Like that's what we're looking for. That's probably the best first red day of August so far this month.
Yeah.
And you can just see the complete difference in the chart makeup. Like if you spend your whole life shorting the day after a 1 day run, that's up like 60, 70%. I mean, I think you're going to have some very bland results.
Yeah. Yeah. You'll win some, but you also will lose plenty. And you're going to be confused why then you're not profitable.
And I just think mainly like a lot of them won't fade as much as necessary to make good risk reward. I mean, obviously some will set up better than others, but a lot of the times like you're going to be caught at the bottom if you're shorting the bottom.
Speaking of the bottom, SGD doesn't seem to have one. We're just getting clobbered. Look at that. Pretty impressive. Makes me want to go back and like, I don't know, short sooner. Because now we're missing it completely, but oh well. It happens. I'm short the one that's still not doing this, not fading. Let's see.
Classic.
There's a huge lag today. Market open 1 minute, and I just hear costing market open. Yeah, I mean, streams can lag, 30 seconds to a minute behind. So I apologize. Do you think Huge has some potential first green day? From my understanding, Huge is pretty dilutive. And actually, Huge is... Didn't they change their ticker? This is the 14th. Oh, no, I haven't yet. Maybe was it tomorrow they changed their ticker? They change their ticker to... What do they change it to? Where did I put it? They change it to... Did I get rid of it? Change their ticker to QNTM and actually, August 15th. So tomorrow they're changing it. So maybe, but I doubt it. We'll see. We'll see how excited everyone gets about their ticker changes if it really matters. So
yeah, Kyle and I are not the people in Clover that really buy first green days too often. Maybe every now and again. But if I were to want to structure a plan around a first green day with Huge, I would look at the other billionaire plays, the ones that traded $1 billion in volume, and see if they had good bounces after their first initial run, how many days it took, and what was the percent return once it did bounce, and see if there's actually a trade there. So, looking at FFIE, CRKN, GWAV, that's all the preparation I'm doing last night or the night before. to prepare for what huge may or may not be able to do. For me, it's just not a pattern I'll ever trade, so I don't really care to do that legwork, but that's how I would, kind of go about deciding whether I like the first green day or not.
Right. All right, last few questions before we close it out here. Let's see. O'Neill says Mull. I think he said meant to say Mullen. Way more dilutive. Yeah, Mullen's a good one. Muln.
Poland's really bad too.
Gosh, this is one I like. I'm still beating myself up. Me and Huddy saw dilution come in around $5, and I just ignored it. And now we're 90% lower. So one of those ones. And God, this is great volume now at the lows too. Yeah, one I didn't take seriously, but is certainly one that was amazing. So PSIG from William for a 3-day breakout. Thoughts, Huddy?
Yeah, I mean, I think it fits the criteria that I would kind of look at for a multi-day breakout. For the most part, the chart is clean. When I looked at dilution, I mean, clean in terms of no really big overhead volume past this 282 mark. So that would be kind of the breakout level for me. And then, looking at it from a dilution perspective, I don't really see anything on dilution tracker that causes me to. I actually see nothing on dilution tracker, which is kind of a cause of concern, but relatively clean fundamentals from a just opaque look. At the end of the day, I'm not really a breakout buyer. Like I've seen a lot of these work. My problem is like a lot of the setups that I trade is a big numbers game, meaning I want to trade as many of them as possible to let the odds work themselves out. And there are so many multi-day breakout looks that like I just have qualms and problems with that I end up hesitating and missing majority of them. So it's like not really a pattern for me. But when I looked at this chart this morning, like I was like, oh, that could work, but I still wouldn't trade it.
Yeah. Only thing I'll add too is that you got to keep in mind what we were just saying about day one runners of no follow through. I would take note of that as across the overall market, at least for me, and I can say that with my own bias, only because the last like 3 to 4 long trades have been losses. So in general, longs have not worked well for me. Now, granted, I'm not the Oracle of Omaha when it comes to long setups, right? I'm actually quite poor, but I am profitable at them. And so for me, any long breakouts, I'm probably gonna hold off or have a secondary like thought, like, is it really that good? Because they're just not working that great right now, at least for me. And then from what we're seeing on day ones and the day twos, like there's just not a lot of follow through. So
my best months with longs are the months that I take the fewest trades. And like I really make sure the chart is there, the volume is there, the catalyst is there, the crowd is there. Maybe it has a history of former running. Maybe it's got a really good chart build. Like I don't think PSIG is that good of a chart. It's just 3 days of consolidation. So there's things that would tip me over to like really wanting to be bullish. But I really have to like feel it and come out of retirement for those. Otherwise, like for me, I guess, if I take too many long trades, like my win rate's not great, but the risk reward is amazing. So I really want to capitalize on the best of the best and be there for those and not really waste my energy on a bunch of like C minus, like maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, maybe there's an offering, maybe there isn't, maybe there's volume, maybe there isn't. Like I need everything to align and it just is not all there on PSIG.
yeah. Shorted OGEN yesterday first day. What are your thoughts? OGEN.
OGEN.
So this one's better, right? This is not a CXAI red day short.
Okay.
However,
It's okay.
this looks like it should be good, but it's not for a few reasons. One, the volume is super irregular, right? Have to have 11 million and then barely 2 million and then 8 million and then 2 million. And now, at the open, we barely have 200,000. Now, granted, I know it's only 30 minutes in the day, but like if you only have 200,000 today, 30 minutes in, I mean, we might not even hit 1.5 million kind of thing. So the volume is not there to get the liquidity or the natural red day price action that you want. Yes, it has gone from 1 to low 2, so it is extended enough. But the volume is just something you need. Yesterday, I see the attempt for yesterday. I get that because there is a world where this could have sold off lower, but it didn't. And it probably didn't because the volume's not low. There's not enough sellers. There's not enough people involved, at least on this day. I mean, again, to go from 8 million down to 2. It's a bit odd. So like I said, I agree with Huddy. It's like it's there, but you have to look at the extra indicators to be a little picky because there's just the reasons why this isn't great.
And August is the month to be like extremely picky. So, when I look at OGen, do I think the crowd is there? Do I think retail's there? Like, I don't. I don't even know what's there. It wasn't really even on my radar. So it's not really, yeah, it has a big percent gain. It had a nice run from 90 cents to $2. Like, it's got extension, but it's missing a number of factors that really like would even put it on my map in the first place. So I would just not bother.
Two last questions I want to answer, then we'll head out of here because these are good ones. ALBT add to a winner. For me, no. When I trade gap and craps, it's usually a one shot, one kill kind of thing. I'll take all my size in one entry. In this case, it's 70, and it'll either fade or it won't. Right? I'm not too good on these when it comes to adding to a winner because honestly, the best winners for me are the ones that fade immensely. And if they fade immensely right away, there's no room to add to a winner. Right? SGD was a great example where it's like if I just short out the open, there's no price here where I would want to add to winner because it's already so off its highs. It's worked so well so quickly. Whereas APT or not, ALBT, sure I can add, but what am I going to move my risk down to one of these levels? Like this could pop over those levels at any point. I don't have a good enough read most of the time to be doing that, and that's why almost every time I don't. It's like I enter once. And either get stopped out or it works. That's just my style on first or on gap and craps. Obviously, there are many times on first red days, on breakouts, on breakdowns that I will happily add to a winner. But this setup is just not one of those for me.
For me, I do like so like when I short these gappers like this, I usually am taking 40% of my size near market open, and then it's kind of an if-then statement. Like if the stock does a specific series of events, then it opens up the world where I can take the other 60% of my size. Specifically for ALBT, it's already violated any condition that would allow me to take more size. So at this point in the day, no matter what it does, I will only have 40% of my size, and that'll be that. So I do have a condition built into my strategy that allows me to add the rest, but it has to do specific things, and ALBT hasn't done them. And at this point cannot do them because it's already violated the whole thing. So
Right.
I'll be 40% here for the rest of the day and probably covering as close as I can till close or at my risk.
There you go. Last great question from Parker. I'm not sure if you guys saw Lance B's tweet about 2024 being the hottest year ever. I'm interested to hear y'all's thoughts on that.
Get off Twitter.
Yeah, I was referring to Huddy's comment, and I don't say that not because I don't agree with or disagree with Lance. Lance is an incredible trader. I mean, not to go more into Twitter, but some of the comments are great because it fills a discussion of like, well, it really depends on the trader, right? And it really depends on the style because for me, yes, 2024 has been a very good year. It's on track for my second best year of my career. But again, knock on wood, it hasn't happened yet. There's still 5 months left. I could totally screw it up. But the action that I got in 2021 is just unmatched. And again, that's just due to how I trade. And you can see some of the comments from like Laptop Legend, right? Some of the OTC movers in 2021 were gifts from heaven. Like they were the best runners I have ever seen, and arguably will ever see. To some degree. Again, I don't know the future, so there's always a chance for better runs in the future. But like as of right now, like there's just no way this year could top that for me, right? Obviously, Lance is a much different trader. He's a much bigger large cap guy. He's a much bigger trader in general. He's also a bigger macro guy than I am at all. Like I'm barely macro at all. So it really depends on the trader. And again, it takes it back to Huddy's point of like you can go on Twitter, but like take it with a grain of salt because Lance is talking through his lens, right? He may be having the best trader year of his career or like one of the best that he sees an opportunity wise. It doesn't mean it has to be for you, right? If it is, great. But if it's not, it should be a win or a break even. It shouldn't be like I am having my best year, cool, I'm winning, or oh my God, I'm not having my best year, why am I such a loser, right? That is not how you should go about it. Do not put pressure on yourself if you're not having a great year. Like it is different for literally everyone.
Literally speaking to the choir onto my point of what I just said, which is like when you read things like that on Twitter, it causes me at least, and I'm sure other people here, to have indigestion issues, mainly because it's like, oh, best year ever, and I'm not having my best year. Like, do I need to up my size? Do I need to change my performance? Do I need to go read Lance's new DVD and learn a bunch of new stuff that doesn't have anything to do with my current trading because he's having a great year and I'm not? And it's the best. Like, what am I missing? Like, it creates all of this series of questions to yourself, and then that will affect your trading in one way or another. So I don't like reading that stuff, right? And then what Kyle said is perfect. Like, if you're an OTC trader, 2020, 2021 was probably the best year. 2000s were probably great years. And, when the pump and dumps were kind of crazy in 2012, it really depends on what you trade, right? If Lance is not trading OTCs, then yeah, this year it might be better than 2020 and 2021. But, that's where Kyle and I made a lot of our money in 2020 and 2021. So there's been no OTCs this year, so it can't be better for me.
Right.
We were born in that mold.
Yeah. I was born in it.
Molded by
it. Molded by it. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for tuning in this morning. Went a little longer for you guys. Got some good questions today. 4-leaf and 3-leaf clovers, you will obviously get the rest of what happens on ALBT today. As we end it, it's looking a little scary, but we'll see. Anyways, guys, Wine Wednesday tonight. Howdy, will you be there?
Yep.
Okay. I have to check with Joe. We'll check with Dom. I don't think he'll have Wi-Fi then, but if he will join us. 7 p.m. Eastern, so be there or be square. And then 4-leaf clovers, you got a webinar with me tomorrow at 11. Or no, market open tomorrow. But also Good Morning NASDAQ tomorrow at 8:45 Eastern as well. So we'll Good Morning NASDAQ, end it, and then bam, right into a live webinar for 4-leaf clovers. But without further ado, have a great Wednesday, everybody, and we will see you guys on Wine Wednesday tonight. Peace.